Hello again. I recently read a news report of a crime in the Midlands city of Wolverhampton. I give a link to it in the description to this video. The senior investigating officer assures the public that, and I quote, "We are in the early stages of our investigation and carrying out quick time inquiries." Quick time inquiries. This sounds like pidgin English. We do it quick time. Why on earth could he not have said swift inquiries or rapid inquiries? Why have used two words like that? Quick time inquiries. It's almost as bad as being told, as we often are, that the police are undertaking this or that action or inquiry at pace. This is literally meaningless unless we are told at what pace the inquiries are being pursued. After all, they could be proceeding at a snail's pace, which wouldn't be very good, would it? On the other hand, they might be working at a very rapid pace, which would be encouraging, but simply at pace. The police are not, of course, alone in slipping into this baffling way of expressing themselves. Politicians are also fond of dressing what they have to say up by casting around for weird phrases to make their speech sound more impressive or less straightforward than it actually is. For instance, instead of the simple word while, it seems to be the rule now to replace it with while, presumably because this sounds a little more posh. So instead of saying while I was out, we hear people say whilst I was out. And in just the same way, the word critique has been drafted in to replace criticise. Again, because it sounds a little more impressive. Instead of criticising somebody's actions or speech, we hear that people are instead critiquing, it was said. I think that part of the trouble is that people are uneasy about plain speech. Simply saying something such as, "While he was away, I criticised his work," sounds a little too plain, a bit too straightforward and obvious. So instead, we hear, "Whilst he was away, I critiqued his work." Much more posh and likely to make people think you are a fine fellow with an education. I call this kind of language semi-literate formal, and I'm sorry to say that it's on the increase. It's as though just speaking in an ordinary and normal way has felt to be lacking something, and to appear to best advantage, some new or more complex constructions are needed. And this is undesirable for two reasons. First, it tends to obscure rather than reveal meaning. If we critique something, we're looking at pros and cons, making a balanced judgment about what is good and bad in some scheme, idea, or piece of work. Criticism, on the other hand, can be completely negative and unfavourable. The two words are not synonymous. The other reason that we should avoid making our language needlessly convoluted, involved, or stilted is that fuzzy and unclear language leads inexorably to fuzzy and indistinct thought. If we're not careful, speaking oddly will cause us to think oddly as well, or rather to be confused about what we actually are thinking. Far better to choose simple, direct words and to speak in plain and unadorned language. This will produce, as a byproduct, clarity of thought.